Where are you finding the most success when it comes to generating listings and new leads for listings?
Yeah, right now for this year, definitely.
Where are you getting your expired data from?
I'm getting it from.
So how do you handle when the seller says, listen, I hear you. Our last agent said we can get a lot more than what you're telling us.
Yeah, absolutely. And
What is your approach to lead generation? Like, how are you getting in touch with these expired listings? Zach, we appreciate you doing this. And I think the best place to start so that people really get the most value out of the next 45 minutes is where you're in your second year in business. Where are you finding the most success when it comes to generating listings and new leads for listings?
yeah, right now for this year, definitely expired.
Expireds?
I worked. Yeah, I was starting to work a lot of military. And as the market slowed down, that started to not work, at least at the price point I was at. But right now, expired is definitely, the people out there that are selling their homes need our help. They need people to tell them the truth, tell them what the market is really sitting at, and how to get that property sold, or to see if it even makes sense to sell it.
Yeah. And we're going to break all of that down because, again, you're just in your second year in this business. And you said something to me before we brought all the live audience on, which is it's one thing to get a listing. It's another thing to have the conversation with the seller around price such that that listing actually gets sold. So we're going to talk all about that. But last year, you did about 6 figures in GCI. This year, you've had your 5th child, and which, congrats, by the way. And so you probably haven't been able to work as much as you did your first year in real estate yet because of, and I'm making this up, so if I'm wrong, tell me, but because of your skill set, which is a real point of leverage that people don't realize, you're probably going to make more income this year not working as much as you did last year. Would that be fair? And in a market that is more difficult. Is all of that fair?
That's absolutely true.
So we want to really talk about how in the world this is possible. So we know that you're getting most of your business through expired listings, and you're competing for these listings with agents that probably have way more experience than you do. So I want to get into how you're able to find the prospects, set the appointments, convert the appointments, get the properties on the market, and get them sold. So why don't we start off with what is your approach to lead generation? Like, how are you getting in touch with these expired listings?
Phone calls, 100%.
Phone calls. You actually pick up the phone and call people.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, so
Crazy.
it's definitely just getting on the phones, calling these guys every day, making sure that you're on the phone first thing in the morning, that you're the first voice. But really listening to these guys, having a real conversation. The detachment that you teach is something I didn't have last year. I was terrified at the decision I made to change careers. I'm 35 going on 36, and I had a full family, but with what I was doing with my last career, I was in advising for cannabis farms. And me and my wife, we just decided that field wasn't any longer where I wanted to be. And so moving over, yeah, it was terrifying. It was terrifying.
Yeah, and thanks for being honest. It is terrifying. If you've never been in sales before, you've never picked up the phone and called strangers before, it can be nerve-wracking. Let's break down from a tactical perspective. Where are you getting your expired data from?
Yeah, so I'm getting it from My Plus Leads.
Okay.
Before that, I was getting from Vulcan, and then we get into I did Mojo for a little bit, but then I use Mojo's triple line dialer, but I definitely get all my leads from My Plus.
Okay, so you're getting the data from My Plus. You put that data into Mojo, and Mojo's how you're making your contacts. Is that fair?
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, one of the biggest things, Zach, and I remember vividly at some point, you probably had the same question when you and I started coaching together, which is, how do I increase the number of people I talk to? Because if you're calling bottom of funnel business like expireds, it's difficult to have a lot of conversations. Are there any best practices that you can share on how you've been able to have more conversations?
Yeah. So it's really getting into just the opener, being able to get
Well,
in there.
before that. See, the biggest thing, Zach, people tell me is, well, Brandon, Zach, I call these expireds and I can't get anyone to pick up the phone. I'm talking to one person per hour. It feels like I'm wasting my time, Zach. Like, how can I get more contacts per hour? So let's start with that, and then we'll break down the actual conversation itself.
Yeah, got it. So, if you're calling expired, you have to be the first. And so for me, we're supposed to call around, start calling at 8. I typically start calling between 7:40 and 8. And then I just run through the first expireds as many times as I can until about 8:40, 8:30. And then those guys are kind of like, hey, you know what? We get it. We understand what's happening now. We're going to turn our phones off and we're
Yeah,
just not going to pick up the phones. And so that's the first one. And then after that, I'll move around 8:30, 8:40. I'll move over to old expireds, and I'll start calling the people that I've contact or I've reached out to the least amount. Um, or I'll go to, years past. And
got it.
then the pick up rate there is pretty good. It's
And now,
just
have
not
you?
staying on a stale list.
Sure. So if you get a list of new expires, the first takeaway is you're going to attempt them more than one time within inside of the first 30 minutes of your prospecting day. You're not going to just have one attempt and then move on to the next lead. There'll be multiple different attempts within inside the first 30 minutes, which makes a lot of sense. We've always talked about it probably takes 3, 4, 5 attempts to get somebody to have that first conversation. And then number 2, have you done anything with your phone number, like whitelisting the number? Have you worked with Mojo in terms of doing anything so that your phone number doesn't show up as spam, anything like that?
Yeah, so definitely got Mojo's whitelisted numbers. I'm calling those guys 6 to 10 times, and so calling them on one number is not going to work. But if I have 10 numbers that I use, and then I
Okay,
just kind of go through them, whitelist them through Mojo. I actually just talked to Otis, and he actually gave me a list of different um, uh, companies that I could go through to get different types of whitelisted. When you go through Mojo, there's only so much differences. I've actually gotten a text message from a lead that was like, "Hey, you've called me 10 times." I was like, "I've only called you once." And then they sent me and they're like, "Yeah, once from this number," and they sent me 10 different numbers that had my that had Zach Shepard REI or
oh,
REA or
sure.
something like that. And so I was like, "Oh shoot, I need to figure out how to change this."
Yeah. So you figured all that. So how many are you calling anybody except for expires, or is that mainly what you're doing with your outbound prospecting?
Yeah, so this year or this spring, summertime, yeah, I've called mainly expireds. Last year I was doing a lot of military, so it was a lot of geographical prospecting. I got a military base right next to me, and those guys are PCS, or they're moving every two took a turn. But besides that, FISBOs, expireds, I'll do downsizers. But
Cool.
right now it's really focused on expireds. Those guys are raising their hands and they need our help.
Got it. Okay. So let's break down the conversation, right? Because I think there's a lot of agents who say, well, I call expired listings and I call for sell by owners all the time, and I don't get listings like you do, Zach. So let's get into the first conversation. What is it that allows you to break through the noise and get an expired listing who's getting 30, 40, 50, 100 phone calls from agents from all your competitors? What is it that you're saying to first be able to even open up that conversation such that you even have the opportunity to set a listing appointment?
Yeah, it's just getting into the pattern interrupt that you teach us. I didn't realize this until somebody that I prospect with, my group was kind of, they brought it up. But when I first got on the phone, it's just ring, ring. Hello. Hey, Brandon, can you hear me? Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I can hear you. I say
Yeah.
this like, can you hear me thing. And I've realized that kind of came out of nowhere, but it definitely, I get past that pattern interrupt 95% of the time.
Got it.
But that's how it started out. It's just the pattern interrupt. Hey, this is Zach calling you completely out of the blue. Just didn't know if I could ask a quick question, would that completely ruin your day? And
And
then
you're
typically,
finding that over 90% of the time, even with expired listings, they say, no, that's fine. Yeah, go for it. Something like that.
absolutely, yep.
Okay. So why don't we just do a role play with your first call expired conversation? Not to put you on the spot, but you okay with that? You comfortable with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's do it. So I'll be the expired, you be you. call me up, ring, ring, ring. Hello, this is Brandon.
Hey, Brandon, this is Zach calling you completely out of the blue here today. I'm a realtor over here in Pierce County. Just curious, do you mind if I ask you a quick question real quick?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Yeah, I just saw that property over on 1-2 Banana Street came off the market. Didn't know, did you guys happen to sell that privately or getting under contract off market or is it still available by chance?
No, we have not sold it.
Oh, shoot, got it. Well, I mean, at this point, have you guys, did you guys take it off the market because you guys, weren't because you guys weren't getting any showings or you guys didn't get any offers at all or was it something else?
I mean, yeah, the market's just super slow. I mean, our agent just said, "Listen, the market's really slow right now." And so we started getting showings in the beginning and then it just died off. We got nothing.
Got it. And at this point, it kind of sounds like you guys maybe have given up on the opportunity to even sell the house. I mean, are you guys still looking to do that or?
No, no, we definitely haven't given up. It's just, we our contract with our old agent had expired, but no, we definitely we would definitely want to get the property sold and move.
Yeah, Brandon, I'm just curious when you and your agent were talking about getting this off the market, did they give you any reason of why you guys weren't getting the offers that you needed?
Um, no, not really. They just said the market's slow right now, but nothing else.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Well, that's got to be a little frustrating. Now, I'm looking at your house right now, Brandon. I mean, you guys have a beautiful property and you guys are honestly located in an area that a lot of my clients are actually trying to get into. Just kind of curious, if you don't mind me asking, what the heck are you guys looking for that you don't already have?
Yeah, good question. We just recently had our fourth kid, so we got to get something bigger.
You just had your fourth kid. Shoot, I just had my fifth one. Congratulations.
Appreciate that.
Um, so it sounds like you guys are looking for a house in the area, correct?
That's right.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, shoot, Brandon, I mean, if I was to if I was to send you over an offer, not to say that I have one right now, but if I was to send you an offer, I don't know, the next maybe week or two, I mean, would it just be too late at this point, or would you guys go ahead and take a look at that?
No, we'd absolutely look at that.
Gotcha. And Brandon, I know I'm calling you out of the blue, and so I don't want to take up all your time. Do you mind if I make a quick recommendation before I let you go?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I don't know if this would make any sense or not, and it's totally up to you, of course. But if I was to, let's say you invited me over and I was to come over and maybe show you how I'm helping my clients get their home sold in this market, regardless of how so, or regardless on what other realtors are telling you they can do for you right now. I mean, would it be a complete waste of time just to invite me over and see if we can't get you from that house to a little bit of a bigger house for you and your new family?
No, no, I think we'd be open to something like that.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, uh, I got this afternoon actually available. Would that just be too soon or?
That's great. And so then you get into the appointment setting. So that's great. I know you put you on the spot in front of a live audience. So that was really, really good. That was really good.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
so, yeah, that's right. And so, out of curiosity, how many, I want to give people perspective of how much prospecting you're doing. And then based on your current skill set, what that typically yields. So, like, do you do 20 conversations a day? Do you do more or less than that?
Yeah, so right now I'm doing about 30 conversations a day.
Are you really?
Um,
Okay. So that's a lot.
and so yeah, I'm trying to do 25 expireds and 25 geographical prospecting. Um, I have not been as consistent as I would like to be as far as having that new baby, and we literally just moved into another house this last 2 weeks, and so we've just been constantly moving. But yeah, so if I'm having 25 to 30 conversations, I'm getting about 1 to 2 leads per day. And out of those leads, if I'm getting, I don't know, what is it, anywhere between 20 to 25, 30 leads a month. Um, I mean, we're setting some appointments, right? And so we're getting into maybe if I'm calling those guys over and over, most of those guys are going to be, some of them will push off until later. They'll be people that I follow up with. They won't be they won't be hot, if you will. They'll be warm, sometimes even nurture at that point. when you get into this market, a lot of people are realizing that they can't afford to sell, or they don't, it doesn't make sense for them right now. But we're going on probably 2 to 3 appointments a week. And out of those
That's great.
appointments, yeah, we're most of the time that's I think where I really shine is at the appointment. It's really easy for me to sit down and have a conversation with people and be personable face to face, as you say, belly to belly, and um, that's I think really where the closing happens.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about the appointment and what you're doing there to not only win the listing, but again, to your point, get listings at the right price. This is the biggest challenge for most people. So we're going to get right back to that. I am curious though, how many of the appointments, if you're going on 2 or 3 a week, how many of those appointments are coming from the first contact versus leads that you put in your pipeline that you follow up with?
Man, that's a great question. So definitely I would say like 80-90% of them are coming from follow-up.
From follow up.
I will say from follow-up. Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
great.
And so I will say that if you're doing the brand new expireds, um, you can get in there. I just had one this month. Or maybe it was July. I talked to them at the end of July. They came off the market. I talked to them the first day. We set an appointment for the next day. It was a virtual meeting. Their military moved out. We got under contract that next day, and we had them under contract with a buyer the next week. We're actually set to close here in 3 days on the 22nd.
Yeah, and that's what gets everyone addicted to expireds, right? Call them, go meet with them, get the listing today, get it on the market, get it under contract, all in about a week. It's the fastest converting lead of all time, which is why the competition is so high. So let's shift to the appointment and talk about how you are doing just that, which is beating out the competition with other agents in your market that, again, have been probably doing this, Zach, a lot longer than you. So I want to first talk about, we're going to talk about the pricing thing in a second and how you get these expired listings to actually agree to price it right. But what are some things that you have learned at the listing presentation that have A, allowed you to separate yourself from the competition, and then B, make it such that you are the obvious choice where the person actually wants to hire you?
Yeah, I would say it's very simple. It's just listening and then being honest. And so it's knowing the market. And so that way you can be honest and you can know what you're talking about. So I like to, because I have, especially being a new agent, I've definitely gone outside of my neighborhood, and so I might be driving an hour and a half to some of these listings. And so what I would like to do is go out there a little bit early and maybe seeing some of the actives that are on the market, go around, kind of understand, especially taken from my losses last year, kind of understanding what really is important to people buying a home in the area. Um, but that's really what it is. It's listening to what their real motivation is, what they're truly trying to accomplish in this move, and then understanding the market that they're in and just being honest with them. And if it
Yeah.
makes sense to them, it makes sense. And if it doesn't, then now they know.
So I want to get this to be really practical, right? So if I'm listening to this, I want you to speak to, Zach, the difference between your first year and what you're doing now from a point of disqualification. And here's what I mean. I'll make it real easy for you. Most agents that are new to selling over the phone, they're so nervous, to your point, that they don't even know they're doing it, but they are forcing non-leads into their pipeline and they're meeting with people that aren't real sellers. You probably have a better ear for what a real opportunity sounds like, such that you're a lot better at disqualifying, which means you're probably going on better appointments this year than you were last year. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%.
Now, so just really quick, give us maybe 1 or 2 things that you do on the phone to disqualify a prospect to determine if it's a real opportunity or not. And then we'll get right back to the listing appointment where you're doing the exact same thing there. So we're on the phone. What is maybe one good disqualifying question that you ask such that you understand, is this person actually motivated or are they just a wannabe?
Yeah, Brandon, if you're not able to get the price that you want, I mean, is it just over? I mean, would it even make sense for you to sell?
It's pretty simple. I mean, that is the absolute easiest question. And what types of answers do you hear from people that have real and true motivation? What do they say?
that have real and true motivation. Yeah,
Yes.
no, Zach, we have to sell. And so we don't want to just give our house away, but at the end of the day, we've got to move. We have another job. We had that other kid. We can't stay here anymore. I can't make the payments on this house anymore.
Then it makes sense for you to use the transitional question, which is, can I make a recommendation? Correct?
Absolutely.
All right. Now going back to the appointment, let's when you talk about, listening and telling them the truth, most agents will hear you, right? There are people on the live audience saying, yeah, I get it. I get it. I get it. I want you to explain the mindset of how you got to that point, because you probably wasted a lot of time. You probably listed some properties that didn't sell that were a huge headache. And instead of going in there trying to convince them to list the property with you, you're probably going in there interviewing the seller to decide whether or not you want the listing. Would that be fair?
Yeah, totally.
So when you
I
say,
try.
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, I try to do that over the phone. Because like I said, I do make some of these tricks out there, and sometimes they are 45 minutes to an hour. My use is much better on the phone,
Yeah.
um, setting more appointments than it is driving, taking 3.5 hours of my day, just to waste my time.
So can you speak to how important it is, especially going after new expired cancel withdrawals for sale by owners, that when you sit down with the prospect for the first time and you use the upfront agreement around getting their permission to tell them the truth, how important that has been for you to be able to shoot people straight without being offensive, without them getting mad at you and actually thanking you for it. And that being the thing I think you would tell us is the separator. It is the thing that makes you different from every other agent, is being able to shoot them straight, which most agents don't do. But talk to us about the importance of setting that up correctly at the beginning of the conversation.
Yeah, it's everything. And so hey, you guys, and I tell this to any prospect that I'm working with. Hey, I just want to let you know, I'm just going to shoot you straight. Do you have any problem with it if I'm just completely 100% honest with you and what it's going to take to get this property sold?
And has
Every time,
anybody ever gotten mad at that? Or is every single time they say, no, that's exactly what we're looking for?
every time, that's exactly what they're looking for.
And it sets the conversation up in a way that the prospect starts to feel more comfortable, that you're not there just to try to give them this, salesy pitch. You're actually there to have a real conversation, which is why I've taught you all to do that at the beginning of the conversation. So when you do that right, talk to us about what it looks like right now in this market where it's challenging. What types of conversation are you having around price, shooting them straight so that the seller can really get it? Like, what's working for you to get these listings and get them at the right price?
Yeah, so it's just having a conversation. Like I said, I've worked with a lot of military, and so we've gotten into a lot of these subdivisions that are very they're built within the last 10 or 15 years. They're pretty cookie cutter, and so it's really coming in there with comps and just showing them, hey, this is what's happening in the area. I'll go in there and show them what showing time, the data that showing time has given us, and showing where people are actually looking for homes in their neighborhood. And then I invite them to go look at some of these actives with me, just to make sure, just so that they know it's not just coming from my mouth, but it could come from their thoughts as well. What are they, if you're the buyer, what is the more obvious choice for you?
Yeah.
Uh,
And so with a lot of these expired listings, they came off the market probably, and probably for the most part, because they had an agent previously that was not willing to tell them the truth. So how do you handle when the seller says, listen, I hear you, but our last agent said we could get a lot more. And I'm having conversations with some other agents. Obviously, we're interviewing some other people that are telling us, Zach, that we can get a lot more than what you're telling us. That has got to be one of the most common things you're hearing. And so when you hear that, how do you address that conversation? What do you say to them?
yeah, absolutely. And I'm just curious, when you guys did come off the market, what did they say the reason was?
They just said it was the market's fault. They said the price was fine. It said it was just the market was slow.
Absolutely. But if we drop the price, 25%, we probably have a line out the door of people trying to buy this house, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Probably, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do know that there's buyers over there. Plus, Betty and John right down the street, they just sold their house. So we know that prices, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful and tell you what you have to do. I just want you to understand where the market is. A lot of these agents are going to come in here and they're going to tell you that they can get X, Y, and Z price just to get you excited so that you sign the dotted line. And what I would like to do is just honestly tell you the truth of what it's going to take. And at the end of the day, if it doesn't make sense, Brandon, you can shoot me straight and just say, hey, Zach, you're either not going to be the agent for us because you're not telling us what we want to hear, or, it just doesn't make sense for us to sell at that price, or they'll be very appreciative and they'll thank me for being honest with them. Now they have some things to think about, and let's get back on the market and actually get this sold. Because what I have found is a lot of these agents will come in and they will tell them what they want to hear just to get them signed. And the sellers will be like, no, we thought it was too high.
Yep.
And but if they could get us that price, we'll do it.
Yeah. So I cannot stress enough how much of a value proposition it is to be honest. It's kind of sounds weird, but like if you could just be honest, I think you would tell the audience right now, here's what ends up happening. If you get the listing, if you end up getting the listing, you get the listing under circumstances that it would cause it to sell. And if you bend the truth or you hide behind the truth or you BS a seller just to get the listing, most times you regret it because you end up getting the listing with the wrong seller that is unmotivated at a price that it's never going to sell. And now you're carrying the weight and the guilt of this listing that's never going to sell. Has that ever happened to you in the early days?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And so, I mean, even this year, I have 3 million that's on the market right now. I could have 6 if I didn't turn down the 3 million that wanted to come online. That it just didn't make sense. I had one lady, she was probably in her 80s, really wanted to move down to Oregon to be closer to her son, demanded that I listed her house at the price that she wanted. And I just said, hey, look, I wish you the absolute best. I don't think I'm the agent for you. And when
good for
she
you.
started being rude and all that stuff, but it just didn't make sense. And I've had that a few times where people, they just knew that their house was worth it, and I watch them because I don't want to say nosy, but I want to know if I was right or wrong.
Sure.
And so I'll keep on those. I've seen out of the 4 houses that I kind of pushed away, 2 of them got on the market with other agents. They never sold.
Yeah. And would you agree that you've gotten to this place in your mind because of how much prospecting you're doing? In other words, because you're going on 2 to 3 appointments every single week, right? I mean, that's like 12, 15 appointments a month, that you can be more detached versus the agent who maybe goes on 1 listing appointment every other month, that they have to go in there and bend the truth. They've got to try to get this listing because they're living on hopium. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I would say that if you're in that position, the biggest thing that you can focus on is making those phone calls and gaining those skills, not wasting your time, or go out there and waste your time and realize that that's not the life for you.
Yeah.
Um,
It's great. So last one for me, and then you guys from the live audience, you can ask Zach any question that you guys want. We've got him for another 10 or 15 minutes. But I am always curious that hindsight's 2020. It's really valuable to look back and say, what would I have done differently, if anything? If you could get licensed again, are there anything that you can think of right now that would have helped to speed up to get you closer to where you are right now faster?
I mean, Brandon, just to shoot you straight, I mean, I had a conversation with Ben on getting into this coaching program before I had my license. And so I was on it from the beginning. I would say the biggest thing that I would do differently if I could, I mean, and you don't know what you don't know, but I would just sit down and figure out how to just get all of the, because I got into Keller Williams, and so they give you a portfolio this thick, and they tell you all these things that you need to go and do. I was trying to do your coaching and that at the same time, and I wish I just didn't. It was so much for me. It took so much time away from prospecting that I wish that from the get-go I would just sit down, make 50 contacts every single day, get in with a great prospecting group. I can't say that enough. I mean, the group that I'm with now, I've been with for, I don't know, probably almost a year now.
Yeah.
And they're amazing. All those guys are amazing. They show up every single day. They're on the phones every single day. We all have the same coach. We're all talking the same language. It just makes it bearable. And now getting on the phones, I don't have that same anxiety that I once did.
Yeah, no, it's so good. It seems like every person that comes on this show every Tuesday, says the same thing. It's like, get into an environment with people that you can prospect together with. And so any agent that's listening to this, whether you're in the live audience or you watch a recording, to the idea that you're going to have success doing this by yourself in your basement wearing your underwear, it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work long term. Like, you've got to be surrounded with people that do this every day.